Hi, I'm Jean Templin from Nyack. Welcome to Inside the Call. Today, I have a very great salesperson that I had the privilege of with at Avast. Sean, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Gene. Thanks for welcoming to the podcast. I'm a security sales director for a company called Allot now. I've been selling cybersecurity solutions to telcos for globally for the last 25 years, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So, thank you. So, I'd like to just kind of dive right in. Tell us a little bit about relationship selling, what makes it so special, and what you see happening in the industry right now with AI and some of the ways that it's changing relationship selling.
Yeah, so I think that relationship selling is a little bit of a kind of a buzzword in the industry now. I think that good sales practices create relationships with your customers that are going to be long lasting. I look for the relationship to be one that's professional and built on transparency and trust. And then I think that are able then to get into the real dialogues that help you along in the conversations that you need to have to be successful in meeting the needs of the customers. It's all about listening to what they have to say and understanding how your solution might fit their problem. And I
Right.
think
Now,
that
can I ask a
yeah,
little one question on that?
yeah,
Listening. I think we as people don't listen too well sometimes. So how
yeah,
are you? I guess you said listening to uncover the real problem. Can you dive
yeah.
in that just slightly
Yeah,
deeper?
I think that's your main responsibility as the sales lead into any kind of a deal is that you figure out what their problem is. So you find out whether you have a solution to that problem. And then you can craft what you're saying to that customer. And the only way you do that is by asking questions and listening. You don't get that by telling people what you do. You get that by listening to what they need and asking the continuous question and follow up to clarify everything around their problem that they can possibly tell you before you tell them what your solution might be able to do for them.
So
And
many
it's
times I've been on
yeah,
calls and that doesn't happen, right? Like they
yeah,
just spew out, here's my features, here's what it does. Let me
yeah,
tell you. And they never ask me. I just had one. I
yeah,
had to stop the person and said, that's not my question. That's
right,
not what I'm looking for.
yeah. And that you got to be really careful not getting trapped into that. It's so easy to start saying about how wonderful and how great you are as a company, but it takes practice to learn what the customer needs. And I think that that's where AI can really help in a sales call. I think that AI tool that like Nyack has can help you to prompt you to get you back on track to what the customer is really saying. Unless you're a great listener and you have a great memory, you're not going to catch everything in the first call or two. You need to have continuous conversations to really drill down into their problem and find the solution that you would be able to give them that meets that problem. And a lot of that problem has not to do with technology. A lot of those problems have to do with time and resources and, what they think they can get for the value they think they can get for the budget they have. It's not just a ABC equals, an X amount of money and you deliver on a certain amount of time. There's a lot of nuances you have to figure out in those conversations.
Now, one of the nuances that we talk about a little bit with some of the psychologists that we were working on
Yeah.
is change management. And if you bring software into a new company, really the motivation of the buyer is really to make sure that all that change that has to happen, that the promises that software, that's really where they feel a lot of, ghosting or non-decision might happen because the motivation of the buyer isn't really there to run it up the gauntlet. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think 2 things. I think that, you the actual work starts after the contract's signed, right? And if you don't go into that kind of mentality with your customers, then you're gonna not have that great of a customer relationship with them.
Right.
And then I think that software versus hardware. There's so many different kind of due diligences you have to do around a software change management versus a hardware implementation. So it's a that's a big word when you say change management around there. I think when you talk about um, changing out something, yeah, that's a big change. So it is change management. But then again, that's where you need to do your work in the sales process to figure out what are going to be the hurdles during that change process so that you are successful. It's not like I have this great problem or a software that fits your needs. Let's start tomorrow. You got to really make sure that you're going to make your company successful by understanding everything that the customer needs from you when you start that change.
Thank you. What tools and tips would you give yourself as a starting salesperson that you know today? I know you and I talked about one.
Never use PowerPoint.
What
Try to get into a conversation with somebody. If you're gonna have to explain who your company is and what they do in a slide or 2, that's okay, all right? But you need to get into a conversation with them about their problems, and you're not gonna do that by everybody looking at a PowerPoint presentation, okay? So, what I do is maybe do a quick introduction. In the first sales call, I don't even like having techies with me, okay? I wanna just talk about what their problem is, what's their timelines, what's their utopian goal that they're gonna have at the end of this thing, how much resources that they have to be able to put into this thing. Find out all of these kind of things before you even start talking technology, especially in technology sales, you gotta do that, and learn about them. I'm not a big believer in that you gotta know everybody's birthday and you gotta be able to send cakes to their kids' birthday parties and stuff like that to become like their friend. Nobody ever bought software from somebody that's their friend without at least looking at the price. Okay. No, okay, so that's where we go back to relationship sales. Yes, it's good to be able to be have a relationship, but I'd like to try to become a consultative resource for that company, a trusted one, and not base it on how many dinners I had with the customer, etc. Those all things will come if that's what the customer wants, and you understand that that's what the customer wants. But most of the time, the customer wants to be treated in a professional manner allows them to say that they've done the best due diligence with every company out there, especially yours, and they have selected the right product with the right value at an appropriate price. It's a win-win for everybody. And so you have to spend a lot of time working with them to understand exactly those um, items on your checklist of yes, I've accelerated the sale to this next level. Yes, I feel confident that it's reached this level. Yes, I can say to my sales management, this has got a 40% probability because check, 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 check. All the activities and relationships within the whole company have been built, and you know all the stakeholders, and you're ready to give them a proposal.
So I think when we were talking one time, you told me the tip that you would say to people, and I take it away, and I thought it was great, is I never say I, and it's always
Yeah,
we.
so this was a great thing that was taught to me by one and so I've been through a lot of coaching, okay? You don't get there just naturally. Some guys have it, some salespersons have it, but that's because they've had other life experiences that can get them to that point. But the problem with sales in general is that when you're the quote unquote salesperson, you are seen to be needy and greedy, okay? It's called the needy greedy paradigm. I got all the sales coaching from a great guy named Brian Starr. And the first thing I learned with Brian was that never say I in a conversation. Never ever make the sale, the discussion, the conversation about you, because then you fall back into that needy greedy paradigm. So I say, I would like you to understand this. Then it's about me. Okay. It's much easier to say, "Do you understand that this does this?" And then understand that. And then try to take that personal side of you out of the whole sales discussion. And then you're going to get responses that are not triggered by the guy on the other side of the table or the woman on the other side of the table thinking, this guy just wants his sales commissions.
Right.
That's
Right.
the worst thing you can be in if you're gonna do a complex solution sales, okay? You need to have those people asking you the questions because they appreciate your opinion, and in the end, they start to trust it, okay? And that's not done by talking about yourself. Worst thing in a sales call I've seen is you have 10 people in a room, and each of them trying to tell the others in the room why they're the smartest person in the room. You wanna be the dumbest person in the room.
You wanna be learning, right? You wanna
Yeah,
be learning from the other
exactly.
people. Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause then you're able to say, "I understand your problems.
yeah.
Here's a solution." That's interesting.
And that's a
Always learn.
confidence thing, it takes a while to learn, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
So, you it's so easy to fall back into, you know, your standard pitch, and we can do this, and we can do this, and I can deliver this, and I can do that. It's not what you want. It's what do you need? What
right.
are your challenges?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay, let's go one last question I'm gonna give you.
yeah.
Um, one thing that AI can't replace in great sales.
One thing that can't this is I thought about this question a lot because we had talked about it earlier. Um, and I don't know. You tell me whether it can or not, but I don't think that if you have an AI agent guiding you during your conversation or prompting you, that they're able to get the tone of voice. So I don't care what a person tells me most of the time when they're talking to me in a sales call. I look at how they're telling me this. I'm looking at everything that they do around their answer besides just the words. Okay. So you need to see where their eyes are. You need to see what body tone color they have. You need to understand the inflection of their voice. You need to learn those things. And I'm not sure that AI is quite at that level. They can definitely pick up in the conversation that the person is maybe mad, but they can't tell whether you can see in their eyes he's reading his emails. Okay.
Right,
All right. You can't see, especially when everything is done online now. Um, it's really, to engage people now compared to face is totally different. And I'm not 100, they got the AI has to catch up with that. Okay. And then if it's a multi-screen call, it's getting even crazier for you, right? At least when you're in the room with people, and that's what I always drive for is face-to-face meetings. You can understand exactly what the buying situation is in that room. Are they interested, or are you column fodder, as they say? They're just
yeah,
talking to you because they have to. And
yeah.
it takes some season and experience. A lot of people try to teach Myers-Briggs. I'm not big on trying to type people, okay, so I can try to talk and the way that they want to be talked to, I think. I'm just about reading people. Never play poker with me. That's all I can tell you.
Mm. So to follow on to that, we just had a professor, Emily from NYU, who's a
Mhm.
psychologist, talking about all the signals that are coming off of people, right? It's not
Yeah.
just their verbs, it's
Yeah.
their body motion, it's this, and our mind has to take all these signals and we're sending them out, and then the other
Yeah.
person has to be interpreting them, and no, AI is not gonna replace that, it might help you understand some signals are happening,
Yeah.
but the human and the ability to decipher through all that is still that human to human connection that's there, right? And
Yeah.
signals, it's confusing for human to human when it's alone.
Are you good at reading signals? You have to be
Yeah.
good at reading them, right?
Correct.
So back to my poker analogy, it's the tells, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you're looking for the person's tells. And I can tell you the more and more conversations that you have with somebody, you start to learn their tells, but you also stop having that person be in a situation where they need to they're uncomfortable and the tells take over. If you can create the relationship like we talked about in the beginning that is open and honest, transparent and clear just by being a sales professional, okay, and being able to act as a consultant to this person, you're going to develop the ability to sell to that organization. And it's just not the one person in the room, it's every single person in the room
Right.
or every single person you're dealing with. Okay. And the better you get to know the people you've identified as the roadblocks and the people who are not on board with your solution, the faster you're going to be able to accelerate through the sale, okay, and cover the bases that you need to cover.
Right.
You're golden when you have somebody from that side of the organization that you're speaking to move into a coach position to you, where they're actually coaching you on what you need to do. And then you
Like,
know
I
you're
like
in success. Okay. So I've been in a few deals that have become extremely good deals where you be able to create the trusted relationship with the person. They tell you exactly what you got to do to get it through the organization. If you're in a situation like that, you have so much adrenaline running through your body when you're talking to these people. You have to remember to continue
Yep.
composure the whole time. Okay.
I
You
love
cannot
that. So 2
create.
things that I heard from you that are just brilliant. I'm gonna actually try
Yeah.
it. First, don't bring any tech to the first call. I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. Learn about the person, understand their
Yeah.
problems. And
Yeah.
then the second thing is when when that switch flips and they're coaching you on how to get it through, you have that very motivated buyer to
Yeah.
move the thing through the
Yeah.
organization because you're gonna
Yes.
understand the hurdles or the things you're gonna need to put into place to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sure this moves forward.
Yeah, Holden calls them foxes, but, I hate that term, but those are the type of people you're looking for. Who's a sponsor, right? A
Right.
lot of different languages. So then you're there. And back to your original question, does AI help you find that? Let's figure it out, okay?
To
Not
be
sure.
determined, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at it as it moves forward. So I guess thank you so much today. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Let people know how they can find you.
Yeah, always on LinkedIn, T. Sean Obrey, always there,
Again,
okay?
thank you so much. Wonderful talking with you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers, bye-bye.